Welcome to channel Make your insight to your Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about Migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and tell a little bit on site, so once we have all the updates, you'll be the first one getting all the inside informations. Now in this video, I would like to discuss a topic which I've been questioned and receiving query and comment over the years in regards there are agents out there promoting courses in Tasmania. Now obviously there's no problem promoting courses in Tasmania, but the way they promote it is they're saying, well look, let's just go to Tasmania and study 1 year course and you'll be able to migrate. Now is that true or not? Let's find out. Now I noticed that in the Tasmania migration web page, it does have this information where now let's look at the left hand side. It's actually on the where are we on the graduate requirement that you see here, and then at the nomination category 1. Now what does it say? Let's have a look. It says you must have completed and graduated with a credit course to tertiary institution. That's not a problem. You can find all type of different degrees and courses, which can be a diploma or a trade qualification, and only require duration of 40 weeks. Now that's the reason why there have been so many rumors, information, and agents out there promoting that all you need to do is study one year and you'll be able to be nominated by the category 1 of Tasmania's migration program. Now although the information here is what it is, but it's not complete. It's not the complete picture. It's not the complete full set of information. Let's jump one step back. If we go right on the left hand side and we go back to the eligibility, okay? Now let's have a read about the eligibility and let's find out what it actually says here. It says obviously you need to meet the criteria. So the important thing here is eligibility comes before the state nomination criteria. It comes before the category 1. You see it's at the top there, and the graduate requirement is 1 beneath it. So this eligibility has to come first. You need to meet the requirement of the eligibility requirement for the visa purpose, and by means you need to meet the Department of Home Affairs the minimum and the standard requirement for general skill migration. And what are these? You cannot be over 45 years of age, and you need to be in occupation in the list of skill occupations, which is fine, as Tasmania covers all of the occupation that is out there. And the third bit, I think the most important part, because a lot of people miss this. Now, even though the following one is you need to get 65 points, you need to get competent English, that's IELTS 6, but this one is where a lot of people have missed it. Now, it may seem very easy. It says a valid and positive skill assessment for your nominator. Oh, well, that's pretty obvious. You need to get a skill assessment. But can a skill assessment be completed only by doing a 40 weeks or perhaps a 1 year course? Now that is the problem. That is the problem there. Now let's go into the detail. Now I have been stressed out and telling in multiple, probably hundreds of videos that I've done. If you're interested about skill migration, make sure you get your skill assessment done. Now studying 40 weeks in 1 year course in Tasmania, would that get you a skill assessment? Here, that's the most important question that we need to answer, and you need to answer in order to actually get picked up by category 1 of nomination by the state of Tasmania. Let's find out. Now, the one website that commonly been used is VetAssess. Now, I've done a specific video unvet-assessed skill assessment. Now, the reason I'm jumping in here, and I'm actually going into assessment process here, is I wanted to show you what is required to actually find out to have a positive skill assessment result. So the first part is you don't have an Australian qualification. So obviously no, because we try and we have arrived in Tasmania and conduct a 40 weeks courses by means of certificate generally, or up to the certificate 4. If you want to get to diploma, I don't think you can actually get it completed by 40 weeks. There may be some program offer that, but again, you need to know that studying 1 year does not meet Australian study requirement. Now that's another hell of a thing, because if you don't meet study requirement of 2 years in Australia, you don't get full A5, you don't get graduate temporary, you don't get post-study work right. You cannot stay after you graduate. Okay, and that's another thing. If you cannot stay, how do you have time to wait for state nomination? That's another complete question. Completed question again. Questioning how study 40 weeks in Tasmania will actually work. At the end of this video, I'd like to tell you how on earth, why the government of Tasmania will actually have that category 1 there. I'll show you that later. Now, pathway 2 is you do have Australian qualification. So that's where we are, because if you study in Tasmania for 1 year, obviously you get Australian qualification, but read on, you need to continue to read on. You need to have a paid employment for at least 3 full-time years. 3 years of full-time. Now, if you complete 40 weeks, 1 year course in Tasmania, first of all, you do not have a post-study work right. You don't have visa left anymore. How do you get 3 more years of work? People come to me and say, look, well, no, well, I'm not in those kind of trade. I mean other ones, but generally a 1 year course only gets you into a trade qualification, which is very obviously it's lower than bachelor. Okay, now a lot of people go to the so-called trade recognition Australia, so a lot of people know about this one, and it's very, if you're doing trades, chef and cook, you know about job ready program. Now, what does job ready program requires? I've came into the guideline here, and I'm going to show you straight away. Okay, now the guideline here, I've actually demonstrated this in multiple of my video before. And as long as you search for the keywords of 1725, then here we go. Do you read that? It says you must complete at least 1,725 hours of paid employment in your nominated occupation over the minimum of 12 calendar month. Now, what does that mean? That means you need to get 1,725 hours of work accrued after you have completed your course. Now, question is, coming back to you, is if you only do a 40 weeks courses 1 year, which does not even meet Australian study requirement, meaning that you don't get an after study work visa, how do you accrue all these employments? Now, so you got to be very careful. First thing is Tasmania only offers very minimal quota of position allow to be nominated and invite you through the skill migration program. That's one thing. Now, although it does showing that under subclass 491 category 1, you are only required to show that you have studied in Tasmania 40 weeks program, then you actually meet the eligibility for them to actually invite you. So, who can actually meet this requirement? Now, let me tell you the fact, the reason of the design of this category 1 nomination of Tasmania. It is to actually attract interstate skilled migrants. It's not for the first destination migrants. For example, if you want to pick a study, you don't come over from overseas to Tasmania and straight away study only 1 year course and you will be actually picked up, because first of all, you don't meet Australian study requirement, and secondly, you cannot even meet skill assessment requirement if you pick a 1-year course to actually study with. So what they are aiming for is for people who are already a skill migration candidates. For example, in Melbourne, in Sydney, they have studied something else, perhaps a trade program, perhaps a bachelor degree, and they really love Tasmania, and they have picked Tasmania for further study, perhaps a 1-year or master degree, right? It doesn't have to be certificate, it doesn't have to be diploma, it can be a 1-year master. Then they will meet that requirement, can they? Correct. Then obviously Tasmania government will nominate and invite you under SACPLUS 491. Or perhaps you are already in Australia and you are a very experienced chef under an employment sponsored visa, and you want to get an advanced management skills. You relocate yourself and study, for example, a diploma of hospitality management, for example, for 1 year, and you meet that requirement. Now, this category 1 are for those kind of candidates, not for the first-time arrival, not for the first-timers. Because the first-timer, they want to come to Australia and study, they should not aim for that category 1 of Tasmania state nomination criteria. I hope that all of you understand what I'm trying to say, because we need to break down the technicality of the whole criteria in order to find that out. So make sure you don't get bumped around by agents out there and listen to rumors and actually enroll to a 1-year course, thinking that after you complete it, you'll be nominated and invited. Well, in fact, a lot of people had already done it and they haven't actually got invited because they haven't meet those requirements I have just mentioned. Anyhow, should you have more questions, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.